Hello and welcome to another Battle Games in Middle-earth painting tutorial video. Now, what with the excitement caused by the Pelennor Fields box set and the rebranding of the Middle-earth strategy battle game and generally just the slew of releases and things like that are coming at the moment, I thought I'd have a look at an undervalued part of that very box set, the humble horse. Hopefully this will help for any equine painting project you have, from Dol Amroth Knights to Serpent Riders. But I'm obviously going to be focusing on a rider of Rohan's mount. I'll try and keep it simple but effective, and I won't rabbit on or my voice will go hoarse. Anyway, I'll try and avoid the puns if I can. Also, I should say this is a pretty dodgy horse. The black Chaos Spray paint messed up on it, something to do with the humidity outside or the heat or something when I sprayed it. So it's all bumpy, but I guess it's perfect for a spare, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to paint it at some point. Anyway, so let's get stuck in. First, I painted a 50-50 mix of Charadon Granite and black for the base coat. Obviously, painting a black horse or a very dark grey horse. Obviously, I would do kind of a similar process for any coloured horse, whether it's brown or white or anything. I'm going to start in a lighter tone and then shade. That's why I'm starting with the Charadon Granite and black first for that base coat. Then moving on to the first layer on the leather, I went with a basic colour scheme with the same brown on all of the leather, but it worked just as well, or well, better, with different shades of browns on the straps and the saddle. But anyway, it's a basic layer of bestial brown. Also, make sure the brown matches the front of the saddle, which is attached to the rider, so you use the same brown for all of that. Now, back to the main colour now. Confusingly not the mane, though. Rather than highlighting, I first shade the recesses of those mighty horse muscles with black. I do have a touch of Charadon Granite in there, but it's at least 90%, if not more, black. As I said earlier, I find this way far more effective than trying to start on black and building up to a highlight, because you leave so much of that black underused that I feel that you might as well draw the lines on, and it makes it feel a lot more pronounced, those muscles and the definition on these lovely horses. Then I do move on to a pure Charadon Granite highlight, picking out the most raised of the equine edges of the muscles in particular. Mostly I use it to neaten up the slapdash shading, but also to do a general non-specific highlighting layer, not just giving it a bit of a brightness, I suppose. With Vermin Brown, it's back to the leather. It's kind of an edge highlight, but a thick edge highlight, not too edgy. As you can see, I make a few mistakes, but that's the nature of the beast for these videos. I am making them on the hoof. The hoof. So, having painted the leather in one kind of brown, it's time to get a brown called Snakebite Leather to paint the mane and the tail, not the leather. Confused? I think that's fair enough. So, Snakebite Leather goes on the mane and the tail. Now, with a slightly watered down bolt gun metal, I paint the armour on the horsey head, then some buckles scattered about the place too. Now to use one of the best washes in the GW range. Nay, the best wash. Nay. It's Devlan Mud, which goes on the metal, the hair and the leather too. Nothing escapes mud but the fur. For my colour scheme, I wanted something a bit less, well, green. The rider of Rohan itself has a green cloak, so I wanted the material around the saddle to stand out. The opposite of green on the colour wheel is red, so I painted red gore. I think it works, but a nice greyish blue works too, or even a brighter, less camouflage type of green would work as well. Now, it's unlikely you'll do this on every horse, unless you're really determined to make them all ultra detailed, but it's nice to have socks for some horses, for variety. I used bubonic brown for the first layer. You can try doing them on 1 foot or alternative feet for variety if you're doing a few though. Then with the same colour I highlighted the mane and the tail to start to build a nice contrast with a dark coat. To continue building that colour up, I used bleach brown as a further highlight this time, rather than a dry brush. I highlighted rather than dry brushing because I wanted it to be a bit more bold and stand out. The same with the socks, leaving a bit of bubonic in the recesses though. The next highlight is a 50-50 mix for the material near the saddle, or around the saddle, or underneath the saddle I suppose. I use red gore mixed with bleached bone. Just be careful here, you don't want it to be too pink, but equally you don't want it to be too red either. I think a little bit of a dusty look works better for riders of Rohan. So, it's not an easy balance, but, you get there. Also, just a lick of red gore for the tongue. Then for the eyes, I paint them black and try and put tiny dots of white on either side. Really, horses' eyes don't ever show white unless they're panicked. But I suppose this one is about to throw itself at a spear block of Morannon orcs, so I think it'll probably be a little bit scared, even if it is a Rohan horse. Then I also use that white for highlights all over the socks, mane and the tail. Be sparing on the socks and try to highlight them vertically as opposed to the horizontal highlights we've been doing up till now. It's basically just to add to that tufty horsehair effect. Almost done now. And the main thing is that I've mostly been able to rein in the horse puns. As if. So Calthan brown works for the dirt, the sand, the gravel. Then a graveyard earth dry brush. Ideally not on a wet sand as I've done, but for some reason I was in a desperate rush to get that stage done. Then I PVA glued some static grass on and some tufts of pre-done grass, which I get from Army Painter. There's a great variety there. I'd recommend it. Army Painter for those tufts of grass. And basically you're sorted. One rider-less of Rohan. And then now with its human master. If you want to see how I painted a rider of Rohan, have a look at one of my other videos. It is in there on the rest of the channel. While you're there, why don't you subscribe too? I hope that's been a useful, or at the very least, passed some time for you while you're doing your own painting projects. More tutorials on the way soon. I think it's definitely going to be Theoden next. In the meantime, like and subscribe and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.